Hi friends, Krista here. Thank you so much for stopping by Books and Jams again today, and welcome back for another day of Vlogmas. Today is Monday the 13th, and what we're going to be doing today is a try a chapter tag. When the last round of BookTube Spin happened a couple months ago, I decided to choose my books for that list of 20 based on the highest rated and lowest rated books on my TBR cart, or my recommendations cart, which I'll be talking about soon in another video. But what we're going to do today is that I've chosen 5 of my lowest rated books on the cart to do a try a chapter. I'm going to read one chapter from the beginning of each of these 5 books and decide if this is a book that I think I would still like to read. I've pulled up my spreadsheet that I make for the books that get recommended to me each year, and I am going to tell you what these books are rated, and we're going to read a chapter of each one and see what I think, if I want to keep it, if I think I should unhaul it, or what. So feel free in the comments to share your thoughts of these books if there's something that you've read before. Is it worth my time? Let me know. So the first one I'm going to look into is The Little Shop of Found Things by Paula Braxton. I believe this is the first in a series, maybe trilogy. This one is the highest rated on this list, and it's 3.77, which isn't really that bad in my mind. But from the books on my shelf, it's among the lowest. So we're going to see what I think about this one, and I'll tell you a little bit more about each one when I get to it. The next lowest, with a 3.73 Goodreads rating, is The Invisible Library by Genevieve Cogman, which again is the first in a trilogy or series. And so here I go, starting more series. Then we have at 3.71, just a little bit lower, The Melancholy Life of Annie Astor. I just love the cover of this. This is by Scott Wilbanks. With a 3.69 rating, I have a thriller, The Night Sister by Jennifer McMahon. I know some of my thriller-loving friends really like this author, so I'm curious why this one is a little bit on the lower side of things. And then my lowest rated book on this stack today is at 3.64, The 19th Wife by David Ebershoff. So I'm going to start with the highest. I'm going to start with the Paula Braxton one, read a chapter, tell you a little bit about it, and I will rank these 5 books based on their first chapter. So this one, The Little Shop of Found Things. So the quick summary at the top here says, an antique shop haunted by a ghost, a silver treasure with an injustice in its story, an adventure to the past she will never forget. And I believe that this is going to have something to do with time travel of some sort. So I'm excited to read this. I like books that have time travel. I think the cover is super cute. So I'm going to read the first chapter. How long is the first chapter? Let's see. I'm a big fan of short chapters, but I do also want to get an idea of the book. So it's 12 pages. That will be good. Aw, this one is for her friend. I love looking at a dedication. And this one says, for Melanie, celebrating 50 years of friendship. Here's to another 50. Before I get started with each of the chapters, I'm just going to read the first sentence for you as well. And this one says, it is a commonly held belief that the most likely place to find a ghost is beneath a shadowy moon, among the ruins of a castle, or perhaps in an abandoned house where the living have fled, leaving only spirits to drift from room to room. I kind of like that first line. It has this nostalgic feel to it almost. Not nostalgic, but I don't know. I kind of like it. All right, I'm going to read the first chapter and I'll come back and share my thoughts. Okay, so I finished the first chapter of Little Shop of Found Things, and I really kind of enjoyed it. I found it to be a mixture of charming and a mystery. So we have met Xantha and her mom, Flora, although I'm not positive that she's the mom. Their relationship is never quite defined other than that they're family. So I don't know if there's something more going on there. Flora and her husband are getting divorced, and so Xantha and Flora have moved into this shop that they bought. They pooled their savings, used every last cent to buy this shop, which has a flat above it where they're going to live. But we also have met Mistress Merton, who is a ghost who resides here in the shop. And there's a little bit of a mystery surrounding that ghost and why she's there. And we know that Xantha has this ability to hold an object and know something about it. So she has this special ability, which is kind of reminding me of The Memory Collectors, which is a book I'm reading right now and really enjoying. So there's a lot about this book that I really like. It was a little heavy on description, kind of describing the shop, and it's just the momentum hasn't picked up quite yet. Like, you didn't just dive right in with a page turner. So it was a little bit on the slower side, but I feel like there's a lot of potential in here. I almost think it's a mashup of the charm of Sarah Addison Allen and like the little touches of magic with the ghost of Simone St. James, because there's like a mystery around this ghost. I don't think it'll get to like the scarier, creepier side of things like Simone St. James, but if you mash them up, and then the Memory Collectors. So it's a mashup of those 3 books. And I'm very intrigued. So this one feels like something that I would want to continue reading. Let's see where it stacks up with the other ones. So next I'm going to pick up The Invisible Library by Genevieve Cogman. And the top blurb on this one says, "One thing any librarian will tell you, truth is much stranger than fiction." Dun, dun, dun. Let's see what the first line of the first chapter, and how long is the first chapter? There is no dedication in this one. So the first chapter is on the longer side. Not a fan already of that. Oh man. Okay. So the first chapter of this one is 16 pages. So it's not too bad. It is a bit on the longer side. So I'm hoping that it draws me right in right away. Here's what the first sentence says. Irene passed the mop across the stone floor in smooth, careful strokes, idly admiring the gleam of wet flagstones in the lantern light. Someone's mopping. Not the most compelling first line, but I'm going to dive in. 16 pages. I'll come back and tell you what I think about this one. Okay, I finished the first chapter of The Invisible Library, and it was kind of exciting. So our main character is Irene, and we learn quite right away that she is undercover in a different world. She is the librarian for this invisible library, I'm assuming, that exists on a different level, in a different world. She is undercover at this boys' school, and she's there to find a manuscript that she is going to steal for the library. This is not her first undercover job, and there's magic in this world. This boys' school is where they learn magic. Gargoyles came to life, and she herself, Irene, speaks the language, capital L language, in which she can speak to inanimate objects and have them do what they're supposed to do. So she can speak to a lock on the door, lock yourself. She spoke to these gargoyles that were chasing her as she was running away. And she said, granite becomes stone again. So she's able to speak to inanimate objects. So it's a little bit different type of a magic system, or different types of magic that are in here. And it has left me wanting more. So I'm not sure that this is going to be a book that I love, but I'm very curious. A love of books is a big part of this, which is fun. So her job is to collect books for this library. And she says, perhaps some people might think that was a petty way to spend eternity, but Irene was happy with her choice. Anyone who really loved a good story would understand. So those little aspects of book love were something that I could connect with. So yeah, I'm intrigued by this one. The magic in this one was not quite as charming as what I think will be in this one. But I am a little bit more compelled by the writing in this one. I feel like this will be a much faster paced book than this one. So as of right now, this is a little more interesting to me to continue with than this one. So I'll put them in that order and go ahead and pick up my next one, The Melancholy Life of Annie Astor. Let's see the description on here. Annie's new pen pal has been dead for over 70 years. So again, we have kind of a ghost type of a story, a surreal situation going on. There is no dedication of this one either, but we do have some wordplay here. Melancholy is a noun, the habitual state in which one makes the best of a bad situation. Okay, chapter 1 is a letter. Starts off with a letter here. So the first line of the letter, Randall. Oh, it's in 1895. So we've got a little historical aspect here. Oh, and the title, Pray for me, Father. I've not forgotten our quarrel, but I'm asking you to put that aside for the sake of scholarship and the friendship we once shared. What happened between Randall and David? Let's see how long this chapter is. Oh, this chapter is only 3 pages. How long does this have? This has super short chapters, so I might read 1 and 2, and that brings me to page 8. So I love short chapters. I love that there's a letter in here already. I'm excited about that. I mean, you kind of knew because it talks about a pen pal. So yeah, I'll read the first 2 chapters of this one and let you know what I think. Well, I ended up reading 3 chapters of this one because I was so confused. So the first chapter takes place in 1895, San Francisco, California. Then we have, also in 1895, a woman in Kansas, a wheat field outside of Sage, Kansas. And then chapter 3 is 1995, back in San Francisco. So I had to read those first 3 chapters in order to kind of get a sense of what was going on. I'm not a big fan of his writing, of Scott Wilbank's writing in this. I just was very confused at the beginning. I mean, you kind of dropped right in, but here's what I know so far. So in the first chapter, there's this gang. I'm not sure who, someone is getting beat up, and a young girl is there, and she kind of escapes. That's really all I know. I don't know who's the good guys and who's the bad guys in that situation. Then we go to Elizabeth Grundy, who is in Kansas on her wheat field. She is a single older woman, and then wakes up one day and looks out her window, and there is a cottage on the back of her field. She doesn't understand that, leaves a note. You can imagine my surprise when I woke up to find that overbearing piece of conceit you might otherwise call a house sitting on my back 40. And so she leaves this note in this mailbox that's near this house that just shows up. Then we go to 1995 at San Francisco, and we have a younger woman in her 20s, Annabelle Astor, Annie, who is having some kind of health issues. She's sweeping or mopping or something, has to sit down to catch her breath, which is happening more and more lately. She starts to get a nosebleed, decides to go out into her garden to get some fresh air, and realizes that there is a wheat field with a cottage on it in her backyard, with a mailbox at the separation of her backyard and where the wheat field begins. So she is determined to write a note and put it in the mailbox, opens it up, but sees that there's already a note in there. So she reads that and then begins responding. It's like, it's kind of cute. Like, I'm sorry for intruding on your land, but imagine my surprise because it is 1995 here and I live in California. So imagine my surprise coming outside and finding your back 40. So she kind of is taking a positive approach. Like, here's a mystery. Let's solve this. I don't know. I'm kind of interested, but I don't love the writing style. I'm wondering if I could find this on audiobook, if that might be more interesting, especially if there are 2 different voices to do the 2, or 2 different narrators to do the 2 women. I'm curious how this first scene that we saw as of right now, that had nothing to do with the other 2. So we're just getting set up into this book. But as of right now, this is my least interest. I'm the least interested in continuing on with this one. I'm not convinced I want to unhaul it. I would need to read a little bit more of it first. But so far, this is the order. Invisible Library, then The Little Shop of Found Things, then Annie Astor. So we'll see about that. But I am going to move on to the 4th book, which is a thriller, totally different vibe. So far, those 3 have all had some kind of magical element. So I'm curious if that's just not something that people love. And that's why they're lower rated. But this one by Jennifer McMahon is going to be a thriller. Let's see. Dear Mr. Hitchcock, do you believe in monsters? Sincerely yours, Miss Sylvia A. Slater, The Tower Motel. So we're in the 1950s in Vermont. This Tower Motel now stands in disrepair, alive only in the memories of 3 women, Amy, Piper, and Piper's sister, Margot. They played there as girls until the day their games uncovered something dark and sinister in Amy's family's past, something that ruined Piper and Margot's friendship with Amy forever. Dun, 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 dun. I'm very curious about that. Let's see. Here's the dedication. A long time ago, I tried to convince my younger brother that on some nights while he was sleeping, I turned into a monster. This is for you, Tom. Oh, man. Okay, so we're going to start in 2013. That's the date. And the chapters are not going to be numbered. They're just going to have names. So this first one is Amy, who is the friend, and it's only a couple pages. So I may do Jason is chapter 2. And then we have Piper, which brings us through the end of 2013. And then we go back to 1955. So this is just kind of set up the present day, and it's 16 pages. So I might just read that first section. The first line says, Amy's heart hammers and her skin is slick with sweat. Ba-ba-ba. Not sure why, but I'm going to go ahead and read these first 16 pages and let you know what I think. Whoa. I do not read a lot of thrillers, but I'm interested in this one. It does sound like it's going to be very creepy. So we have these 3 girls, Amy and Piper and Margot, and we're in present day, which in this book is 2015 and 2013, excuse me. The first chapter is Amy. She's in her house with her husband and their 2 kids. She grabs a gun and goes upstairs. She's holding a picture of her mom and her mom's friend, and she writes something on the bottom of the picture. She starts going up the stairs with this gun. She thinks about this rhyme that her grandmother had taught her. When death comes knocking on your door, you'll think you've seen his face before. When he comes creeping up your stairs, you'll know him from your dark nightmares. If you hold up a mirror, you shall see that he is you and you are he. What? So they're staying at this iron tower, or this tower motel, or they run it or something, tower hotel. And I think it's the same place that we're going to visit from the past. But then we have chapter 2, which is Jason, who is Margot's husband. Jason is a policeman, and he gets a call. They get a call at 12:30 in the morning reporting that gunshots and screams. So he's about to head home for the night, but he decides to head over there anyway. He has a past with Amy as well. He's married to Margot, but has had conversation with Amy recently, and they were friends in high school. He kind of has like a first crush kind of feeling towards her. But then when they show up, it is a bloody mess. Amy and the husband and one of the kids are dead in the hallway. Amy has the gun still, but they were like butchered, which I don't know if I can handle all that blood and gore. But then we switch to Piper, and Piper is living far away. She doesn't live with them or in the same town as Amy and Margot, and just kind of gets a phone call from Margot telling her what happened and telling her about the photograph that said 29 rooms, and Margot said, or Piper tells her, don't say anything to anybody. I'm coming. I'm getting a flight right out. So clearly something happened in the past. I'm definitely invested and curious, but I'm not sure. I don't know. It has like the creepy vibes. I love a level of creepy vibes, but if you've read this before, let me know if it's going to get too dark and twisted, or if you think that I'll be able to handle it. I mean, as of right now, I'm very interested to know what happened, but I think I'm still most interested in these 2. I think I would put this one as 3rd, and then Lemon Collie Life as 4th. So right now that's my stack. I have 1 left to go, The 19th Wife by David Ebershoff. And this one, it's 1875, so we do have historical aspect again. Anne Eliza Young has recently separated from her powerful husband, Brigham Young, prophet and leader of the Mormon Church. So she gets expelled and an outcast. Anne Eliza embarks on a crusade to end polygamy in the United States. So this could be pretty interesting. It is the lowest rated out of this stack. Let's see. So we don't have a dedication, but we have some quotes here. Faith is to believe what you do not see. The reward of this faith is to see what you believe. St. Augustine. So the first chapter is called 2 Wives. We have like chapter title pages. Interesting. And it starts out with this announcement. The 19th wife featuring one lady's account of plural marriage and its woes, being the chronicle of personal experience of Annalisa Young, 19th and rebel wife of the leader of the Utah Saints and prophet of the Mormon Church, Brigham Young, written by herself. So this is like the title page of a book that's going to be in this book. Interesting. The setup of this is very strange. So I feel like it's a book within a book, but then also chapters and also Wikipedia pages. Not sure if those are fictionalized or actual notes. This is very interestingly set up. I'm very curious. Yeah, I guess I'll go up to chapter 2. I don't know. We'll see. It's very strange structure, but I guess we'll see. Okay, I just read the first 10 or so pages of this one, and I am going to unhaul it. There is a murder mystery, modern day, intertwined with this historical story. I am interested in the historical story of this, but his language in the first 8 pages, there was an F word and another swear, and I'm like, you know what? I just don't want to read it. And the structure looks like it's going to be confusing enough that I just don't think that this is going to stay on my shelves. So this one is getting unhauled, and these 4 are going to stay, and this is the order in which I'm the most interested. The Invisible Library, I just thought that was pretty cool and love the love of books. I love the magical charm of the Little Shop of Found Things. I thought this sounded like a creepy thriller. Let me know if it's going to be too much for me. And then this one I'm the least interested in, but still intrigued enough to keep it around for a while. So that is my try a chapter for these 5 books. I would love to know if you've read any of them. What do you think about them? Did my impressions of the first chapter resonate with how the rest of the book goes? Is it going to pick up pacing or change in any way? Let me know. I hope you enjoyed this video today. I would love to talk with you down in the comments, and I appreciate you watching, and I'll talk to you in another video very soon, like tomorrow. Bye.